Welcome to another episode of Big Bun Game Club with Charles and myself. So
Whoa! What's up, buddy?
not much, it's been a wild week. I've just been playing like just Guilty Gear all week. I said no more Bloodstained. I dropped it, deleted the game, broke the disc, moved on. So you can still play it. I'm just gonna be playing Guilty Gear, Rev 2. Gonna be like climbing the ranks to be the best player. That's gonna be the end point. Once I reach the top of the rank leaderboard, that's when I'm gonna stop.
So now I have to ask: are you just fucking around? Or are you like kind of serious?
Oh, I'm just joking. I'm still playing Bloodstained. I did get to a part where I was kind of questioning my sanity about this game. So.
Okay.
I got to the cathedral. I think I talked about the cathedral last episode. I reached this other part of it's like around. It's like I was trying to get to the train station, and you need to get a photo ID. So during all this, when you meet the Dracula guy in the shop in that general area, I was like running around, and I was like, okay, I don't know where I'm going. I went through every other room, and I couldn't go through other areas because you need that dash or that like torpedo, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I don't know where else to go. I don't know how to continue. I didn't know you needed to go to you get the photo ID or the train station thing at all. I made it to the train station and said, oh, this does not turn on yet or whatever. I was like, okay, I don't know what I need. I keep walking around. I was like, well, I need a warehouse key, I need this kind of key, I don't know where any of these things are, so it's like, I was getting a little bit frustrated with this, and I was like, I don't know what else to do. I think I was like, just about to just drop the game, or just say like, I don't know, I go back to the village area, to go, to see if I could enhance any shards, or whatever. The second I did that, for some reason, I was thinking in the back of my mind, oh, there's this, like, technology over there, like, you're supposed to build a photo camera, whatever. I was like, oh, I wonder if I had this because I got so many items or whatever. I go there, alright, you got your picture. I was like, oh, I got a picture? Do I see the picture? You don't see the picture at all. I was like, oh, okay, well, it is what it is. I then I find but then it tells you, oh, you should talk to that guy, that rents out books or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, I'll talk to him. Alright, here's your ticket to the train. I was like, oh, I had to do this the whole time. I was sitting there like, there was no like inclination that I needed to go to that guy to get the ticket at all. Because I talked to him before, and he was like, "Do you want to rent a book?" I was like, "Okay, I'll rent the one for damage for higher attack." All right, bye. And it's like, oh, okay. Like I didn't think about it, and then this dumb luck, I just figured out. Oh, I should go see if the camera's ready.
Dude, okay, before we continue, did you write down your progress?
Fuck, I forgot. I forgot to write it down, but I remember like some parts of it though.
Do you remember how much of the castle you have done?
Yeah, I think I'm like I would like to say I'm like 49%.
Okay, I'm at 68.5, and
Oh,
only
wow.
because I've completely turned on this game. Like, I'm so upset with this game. It's not to say that it's a bad game, but it's like pretty broken in a lot of ways.
Mm.
What was the boss you fought right before you got stuck?
The boss I fought. Oh yeah, okay. Before that got stuck was the two-headed dragon.
Yeah.
And that boss fight fucking sucked. I hated that boss fight.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I hate that boss fight because I just couldn't understand how to dodge half the attacks. Like, one head would do fire, so like, okay, I'll go on the other side. And I could never, like, move in time before the other head attacked. And it's like, what was I supposed to do? This is bullshit. Like, it's just, the attack timing just seems really, like, unfair. And I swear I think this game drops inputs. Because there are moments where I'm pressing X to jump, and she doesn't jump. And it's like, I know I pressed it.
Two things. For that boss, the whole trick is the backstep.
Even
All you do is backstep in that boss.
even then, it's like I don't know. I didn't. I felt like the backstab would barely help me because by the time I would address that, the other one would attack, and then I would have to turn around. I don't know. It was just. I think it's a mix of all these kind of things. So I think it's, obviously my reaction time is probably fucked up anyway. So I think it's that, and then all these other things made a perfect storm of shit. I don't know. Like I'm always thinking that it's the reaction time for me as well.
So this game is buggy, and there's a dedicated option. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a dedicated option to turn off input lag.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Holy shit.
You might have this problem where you need to turn on the input lag option, and maybe you'll be better off. So that's the first fucking thing. And that boss was when I completely turned on the game, because I was fighting that boss, and I was just fighting it normally, and when it does that attack where both the heads attack at once, right?
Yeah.
I clipped through the floor.
Oh.
So I fell underneath the boss, and I was like, okay, what do I do now?
Oh, and you're stuck there.
Yeah, and I walked back up, and I'm behind it, and it can't hurt me, and it's just doing the same exact thing it was doing.
But you can't hurt it?
No, I could hurt it.
Oh, so it's not that big of a deal. You actually found an easy way to beat it.
No, but that's exactly because it really pulled back the curtain on the fact that these bosses don't really have sophisticated AI. It's just a pattern, and you just have to react exactly the same way until it's dead. And it's like every boss after that, and even thinking back to the bosses before, it's just like you memorize the pattern, and it's just super repetitive. It's not like an interesting challenge. And it's like, it's the same thing I was saying with Persona 4. It's like, okay, I can turn up the difficulty, but it's just going to make this take longer. Like,
yeah.
It's not going to make the game more fun.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, fuck this. And it's like, so that's the first reason I turned on it. Because you'll see there's a boss later. I don't think you fought them yet. It has to do with, like, they attack with, like, blood everywhere.
I'm just at that boss, and that boss feels so easy to me, but I keep dying.
Well, that's the thing, is that if you just have the littlest bit of patience, this game is so easy, because you just jump over her.
Yeah.
And she leaves herself wide open for attack.
Yeah, it's easy to read her moves. Like it kind of feels like a fighting game a little bit, where it's like, okay, you know, like what moves that they're gonna do, and you know how to respond. But it's just the only thing that's bullshit about that fight is she keeps regenerating her health, and every time I'm like trying to like prevent full recovery during that, it's like bullshit kind of knocks me out. And it's like, okay, maybe I'll just hit a few and then just kind of like, do whatever and just take some L's of how much health she regenerates. But it's just that fight is just a little ridiculous because there are moments where it just feels like that, okay, I know this attack is going to be here. It would either be a collision thing where it's like I'm kind of too close and I'm just getting hit just because I'm touching her, like, and that I think is bullshit in games. You should not get hit just by touching an enemy. If they're doing attack, fine, but just like, do they have like fucking poison like around them the whole time? Like,
I agree. A great game that does that. So one of my favorite games ever is Gunstar Heroes. I don't know if you've ever played it.
I think you told me about this game before, but
yeah, it's because one of my favorites. And that's how it's kind of like Contra-like, and it's like a running gun. And enemies, like, there's swarms of enemies, but they have to attack you to hurt you, which makes it a lot of fun. And you can like toss enemies around. You should definitely play it.
All right.
I'm sure there's like a Sega Mega collection somewhere you can play it. It's for Sega Genesis. But yeah, dude, that boss, and that was another thing that pissed me off, was that my controller glitched out. So I ducked, right? Because she was swinging her umbrella at me, and I ducked under it. And then like my Bluetooth connection got lost, so I had to turn off my controller. And I'm sitting there crouching, and she's just swinging and missing. I beat her. My controller fucked up, and I still beat her because it's so dumb. Because, and I will say, I did have a little bit of trouble fighting her because she has this move at the end, like her like desperation move, where she makes blood rain from the ceiling.
I just made it to that part before I stopped playing because that was such bullshit.
So you have like 10 more hits, like maybe less than that. You have only a few more hits when she does that, and I had realized, I was like, oh man, I can't beat her. And like, I was like, oh man, that attack is so hard to dodge. First of all, it's super easy to dodge. All you do is just jump into the corridor.
Oh.
It doesn't hit you. Like, you jump in the doorway. Doesn't hit you. Second of all, I was like, oh yeah, I have recovery items. I haven't been using recovery items for shit. So I just ate some food, and I was like, I have full health again. And I just killed her. And I was like, this was the easiest fucking thing I've ever done. And it's just like, I don't know. I've completely turned on this game because another thing is that I have no compelling reason to do any of the side quests or any of the, like, crafting stuff. I go back to do crafting, and I'm like, all this equipment is worse than what I already have. And I'm like level 30, and I just one-shot everything. I don't even kill anything anymore. I just jump over them.
Yeah, the crafting and the shop both have like worthless like everything. Like the shop only barely has something that's like nice that catches my eye, but other than that, it's like, okay, I'll just continue with what I have. Like I actually changed my sword. I'm not using like a fast weapon anymore. I'm actually using like a big ass sword that does 39 damage. And now I'm wielding like 60 damage on the boss. So I was like, oh, this is a perfect weapon. Fuck everything. It's like I'm one-shotting enemies. I'm I'm just wrecking things left and right. But yeah, I think I stopped caring about the side missions as well. Like for a while, I was like, oh, I need to do this. And this one woman was like, oh, I need an apple pie or whatever. Can't find any apples. I was like, I don't give a shit. Fuck that. I moved on from that.
It's just like, you're so overpowered just by naturally going through things that it's like there's no reason to do any of this. It's just grinding for the sake of grinding. And like the leveling system, if you level up, it's just everything's so fucking easy.
Yeah, and there's no order to anything. Like I thought when we first played it, when I was first playing, like, okay, maybe there's gonna be like a linear path that you'll know where to go. When I was like lost in that castle for the longest time before going on the train, I was like, where do I go? I somehow found a way to get to Jebel, like, way early on. So,
yeah, we both technically beat the game.
Yeah, I fought him, and I was like, wow, he's so stupidly easy, what the fuck? And then, like, I thought it was gonna continue. It's like, oh, the castle's still here. What's going on? And I was like, oh, well, I guess we're gonna go back in the castle. Well, don't worry, the church will take care of it. Dun, game over. It's like, that's it? Like, and that, to me, kind of spoiled the story a lot to me, because I just did that. I was, like, thinking to myself, well, if I'm not supposed to beat Jebel yet, then clearly he's not the main bad guy, or, like, the castle was still there and Jebel was defeated. So clearly there's another villain, and it's like, yeah, Jebel is just a pawn, obviously. So I like the idea of it, of like, oh, you could just kind of do this and get a bad ending, but it's like, it kind of just kind of tells you some stuff about the story that I think you could figure out.
Here's the other thing. You know, we all know what's really going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yes. But here's the reason we could be wrong. And the reason that is because remember that woman, like, I don't remember what her name was, the demon that was with Jebel the first time you see him?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't fight her. So...
True.
No, maybe he's still the main villain, but you never fought her.
Yeah, but I still feel like eventually it's gonna... I know what you mean. I know what you mean. The other thing is... the other thing I thought was bullshit, so after that I got like that reflector ray ability, and I was like, okay, this is great. That reflector ray ability is fucking shitty. I don't know why they thought this control scheme made sense. It doesn't. You use R2 to do it, and it's like, okay. At first glance you're thinking, oh, this is fine. And you move the right analog stick. There was this one area where you have to like reflect a path through like this like an N shape path or whatever. And it's like, oh wait, I got the path I want. And as soon as I hit R2 again, it moves last minute to not make any progress, and I stay in the same place. And I'm like, why the fuck is it like this? It should just be, you set it up, you press X to go, and then that's it. Like, it's just so needlessly cumbersome. And it's like, this is just a shitty fucking ability. And,
you're on a PlayStation, huh?
Yeah, but I guess...
It's probably because the pressure-sensitive trigger makes it hard. You have to press it harder, huh?
Yeah, but it's not... I don't think it's necessarily that. It's the stick. Because I'm moving the stick around, I'm holding it, then it just kind of flickers and glitches to like something else. Like, it doesn't stay where I want it to go. And then I press R2 again, and it goes fine.
I didn't have that much problem with it, but I can see if like, because I can see how it like at the last second when you're trying to press it, but I'm using an Xbox One controller, and if I tap it, it goes.
Okay.
So like, I don't have to press it all the way down.
You know what? Maybe I should try it on Xbox to see the difference, because I do have Game Pass, so I could download it again and I could try it there. The other thing I hate. So I did meet the Medusa heads, and they're fucking a pain in the ass. So there's that area where you have all these like moving parts that if you land on it, it does damage to you. So I'm trying to use the reflector ray to get to each platform or whatever, and they just knock me out of it all the time. I keep becoming stoned, landing in that, and then I have that summon knight that's hovering around me, and I suddenly see him attack a chair. And I wasn't thinking it was attacking the chair. I was like, oh, it must be attacking a Medusa head that hasn't, like, appeared yet. So I sit on the chair, and the chair launches me into the spikes. I was like, oh, God. So I saw that. I saw fake chests. And I thought the fake chests were kind of neat, but now it's like, okay, I know a fake chest when I see one. It's not like... The first one got me in the secret lab. Other than that, it's like, okay, these are just dumb. I thought they were going to mix up even more by having the good chests be fake as well, but so far I see the same. Unless later on they change them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a little bit further in the game than you, and I have to say, it's becoming very tedious. And everything is just now a like color swap or like model swap of the same enemies that you've already been fighting.
Yeah.
And there's more. So I had to look up a guide at a certain point because I was just completely stuck. I was like, there's nothing I can do anymore. So I'm just. Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to see if you can figure it out yourself? Because there's another part that's complete bullshit.
Oh my god.
How was I supposed to figure this out?
Yeah, yeah. Just tell me.
Okay, when you get stuck again, when there's nothing else to do, go to the water and just keep killing enemies.
What?
You're gonna get to an. Okay,
oh my god.
Get to a new underground space, and you need an ability, but it doesn't come from a boss. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, you know, I was thinking about that because there was another ability I got that was from I think that you needed, and you got it from a normal enemy. I can't think of it though, but I think there was, if I remember correctly. I just can't think of the ability. But there was one that was like, oh, this is a nice ability. Why wasn't this from a boss? And then like the other thing is that I just feel the challenge to this game just doesn't really feel logical. It just because like after the two-headed dragon, after the boss in the secret lab, I fought this other dragon that was on a bridge, and this dragon was it was like this is like an introductory boss. Like this is like okay, this is how you fight bosses. So, oh look, you did it. It's like
that's what I'm saying. It's like the bosses. The simplicity of the bosses. How much Mega Man have you played?
None.
Like a lot of Mega Man games?
No.
I would say the bosses are as simple as like a Robot Master in Mega Man. But it's like in Mega Man, you have to have the precision to like hit it with your weapon. So it's like the simplicity is forgiven based on the fact that you have to use. It's more fun because you have to use these certain abilities.
Oh, okay.
And like they're short. But like I find when I fight a boss in this game, I'm like, when will this end? Like it doesn't get any harder. It just like keeps fucking going. I'm just like, I already figured this out. Like I'm just doing the same thing over and over. It's so repetitive.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that the castle, the pacing of teleports and save rooms just seem kind of they're not that great. Like because I think that I think they should have just made the save rooms the teleport rooms. Like just. Because some of the teleport rooms, it's like, okay, well, this one's kind of close. Like, it becomes... Like, when I was fighting the Scarlet boss, I was saying, I was like, do I really want to go all the way... Like, not even that, the Reflector Room boss. That one, I was like, okay, do I really want to go back to get healing or whatever? Like, because I do that, I have to go back to this one room, I have to go all the way down to the train station, go through the train, and it's like, this seems like more bullshit than... anything that it's worth, and it's like, well, I guess I have to because I'll just keep dying. And then with the Scarlet, it's like, it's not as bad, but it's just like I just wish the save rooms were the teleport rooms. Like it just.
But that gets to the core of the not fun to like go through the levels.
Yeah, and the enemies that are like in the higher areas, like the lion thing that's in the one of the hallways to get to where the Scarlet boss is just it's annoying to jump over and to time it right and all these things. And the environment could also give you some bullshit damage. The platforming could give you bullshit damage. There's all this bullshit going on in the game. Like, there's all these Medusa heads that just go around. And it's like, oh, you're jumping. Well, now you're gonna be knocked off. It's like, okay, like it's a level of frustration. Sorry, but it's a level of frustration that I haven't felt since I was like a child playing like Mario. It's like, okay, I've fallen off the same platform like 10 times. Fuck this game. I'm just gonna stop playing. Like, it just got to so many parts where it's like I've done this. I'm just gonna be done for today and moved on.
Yeah. I gotta say though, to me, it's like I'm frustrated by the fact that there's no tension to it. Like, I don't ever feel like, oh no, I don't want to lose. I'm like, I can mostly avoid enemies, and even if I take it, I can just tank hits and find a save room. Like, there's no tension to me. And like, even if I die, I'm like, whatever, I'll just fucking do it again. Like, and I haven't even been dying that much. Like, I only die on the bosses, and it's like the first time when I don't know the patterns. And it's like, once you know the patterns, you just tediously go through it again. And I'm just like, this is not that fun.
Yeah, and I also feel like when you first start the game, you get this awe of the castle. Like, you go to a new area, you're like, oh wow, this is a new area. Wow, this is pretty fun. This is pretty interesting. But now it's just like when you start seeing, like, once you get to like I feel like it's 50% and upwards. Once you get to that amount, it's like nothing else is like new. It's like, okay, like, and it's just it. The only thing is, like, I don't think I haven't turned on the game as hard as you have, but it just, when I was playing it, this kind of feels like, yeah, this is like the kind of game that I probably wouldn't be into as much, because I don't mind open games, but this just had it into a point where it's like I don't really care about exploring it.
If we weren't doing this, I would have stopped after that train station thing, because there was no indication. Like, because I'm also on the point where I'm just like, who gives a fuck about this story? So like, I had no idea what I was going. I had no idea what was going on. I don't know. I knew there was that photography side mission, so I just was like, let me sit in the chair again. And it's like, oh, you made the picture. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I had no idea what I was doing, so I was just aimlessly wandering around the castle. And I was like, let's go see what the fucking Dracula guy is doing. By happenstance, he was just like, oh, you need this to get through the train. And I was like, oh, that's what I needed to do?
Yeah.
On the train. It was so stupid.
It kind of feels like the same, like Castlevania 2. I think it's Castlevania 2 that has that weird bullshit where it's like, oh, you have to stay on this particular area, then like a bird will come down and take you to somewhere else, or it was something bullshit like that where you wouldn't think initially until you looked it up. And it's like, I get that this guy probably wanted something more cryptic with this, and it's like, okay, it's cryptic, maybe there'll be some in-game hints, whatever. But it's like, this isn't fun cryptic where it's like, oh, because there's stuff that like you overthink half the time. Like in the beginning of the game, when it's like when you're trying to get in that carriage, it's like, oh, you need a hand or something. It's like, okay, maybe he's talking about like a certain item or whatever. It's like, oh no, it's a boss, that's a hand, and you kill it, and then there you go. It's like, oh, okay, like that's pretty straightforward. And then it's like the fucking camera. It's like, what indication was there? Like, there was not even a thing that says, oh, you should get an ID. Like, the guy who the library dude doesn't even tell you, oh, there's a train station down there. Do you want to go on? You need this. Like, it tells you way after, unless the only thing I think of is that you're supposed to talk to him multiple times, and the second time he would probably tell you, because the first time maybe it's just introductory, but it's like, you have to talk to him anyway, so it should have been the first thing he tells you.
Well, yeah, I don't know when it was, but like, all I know is when you go to this train station and you examine the gate, it's just like, this machine is turned off. It's like, why wouldn't it say like you need an identification?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Because then maybe, I don't know if I would, but maybe I'd be like, oh yeah, there's this photography thing.
Yeah.
But, like,
and the way that the story is told is just, it's not balanced very well. It's like MGS5 in the sense that they put all the story in the tapes and not in the cut. Like the ratio of cutscenes and tapes are not balanced. Like it should be like 50-50 or whatever. Like maybe more cutscenes, less tapes. Like Peace Walker had a good balance of like, okay, these are tape stuff, that story. Then you have all these cutscenes. But with this, it's like, all right, you have some dialogue, and then it's like, all right, when's the next drop of story? Like even like Hades, which is like this repetitive like cycle of gameplay, has better story progression than this game. And that game is like supposed to be like a loop almost.
I have to say, I don't give a fuck about stories in video games. Like I want the game to be fun. I don't care about the story.
To me it depends on the game. Like for Bloodstained, it's not a huge stake that the story is weak or whatever. Like the story is simple and whatever, that's fine. It's just that I just kind of want like more of a direction of like, am I going the right way? And I think like they could have just done story to be like, yeah, you're going the right way here, or like this is like it's fine to go out of order. Like I do like that you can go out of order in this castle, but like there should be something there to be like, okay, well you can go out of order and you can do stuff, whatever, but there could be something there to kind of give you motivation to continue, because now it's like, am I like I do like some of the boss designs, like the Scarlet boss. I like her design. It's like, oh, that's cool or whatever, but it's just I just kind of want more like cutscene time with like bosses I like their design of. Like I don't care about these other bosses as much.
Well, that's a funny thing too, because if you keep playing, well, we should play at least one more week of this. But I'm pretty done with this game. I'm like trying to just get through it. But there's a boss that happens, and there's just no acknowledgement of what just happened, and it's like some crazy shit. It's like, wait a second, you're not gonna say something about this, Miriam? Like, that was fucked up. And she just goes along her day. Like that's where I ended off, and she just goes along like nothing happened, and it's just the weirdest thing. Like if it would happen to you in real life, you'd be like, what in the fuck?
I kind of feel like that this being a crowdfunded game, that it kind of hampered a lot of the presentation. I think it's not necessarily the story is my criticism. It might just be the presentation of the game, because a lot of it just seems like kind of rough around the edges. Like it just kind of feels like this is like a beta of a game that's like, this is an idea. Like it's kind of like a pitch almost. So maybe if they do like a sequel to it, it's going to be more refined, because. Like, if you look at Curse of the Moon, I think Curse of the Moon 1 is probably a little bit more rough than Curse of the Moon 2, where it's like, that feels more refined for what it is.
I agree with you, but I think not as much that it feels like a beta, but I think they put too much shit in the game. Like, I think they should have scaled it back and refined, like, the combat and stuff to make it a better game, instead of just trying to make... Because, like, because I was like, what the fuck happened to this game? And I read the Kickstarter goals, and everything was like, we're going to make it bigger. We're going to make more secret rooms. Like, we're going to do all this shit. And it's like, okay, so probably what happened was they needed to make the scope of the game so huge, because that's what the backers were expecting, that they didn't just, like, refine the basics to make it more fun.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's interesting, like, with these Kickstarter games, or these crowdfunded games, is that you get it's interesting to look at all of them independently almost, because they all kind of either overly promise and they kind of paint a different picture for a game, or it's like they try to keep it modest. Like the Indivisible page was a little bit more modest, because it was kind of like, okay, this is, the amount that you're funding is going to be paying for half of it, because it's a deal that they made with 505. It's like, okay, 505 will fund the rest of the game if we make this much. So all of the promises were like, okay, well, if we reach this amount, we'll get full voice acting for the whole game. If we hit this amount, we'll get an animated intro. If we hit this amount, it's like more dungeons or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, like it's like these are like kind of reasonable stretch goals for it. Other than that, it's like, okay, the rewards were like, okay, well, for this one, you'll just get your name in the credits. This one, you'll get, like, a plushie. This one, you get a soundtrack. This one, you get this, whatever. They kind of scaled it that way. The only thing they had for backers is that for the higher tier is, like, you get to design a enemy or design a NPC. So it was a little bit more like grounded. Well, this one I didn't really like it this one, but it sounds like that they just kind of wanted to go like go crazy, guys. Look at this. We're gonna do all this for you. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. So it's like it just like all the stretch goals were like making it bigger, and I think they didn't need to do that, and they could have made a better game had they refined it. And it's interesting because this game is like I looked it up. I was like, let me see what the reception on this is, and it's universally well received. And I'm like, did these people play the entire game? Because when we started, I was like very like, okay, this is gonna be great, and then now
yeah.
I'm just like, eh.
Well, it could also be that people are forgiving because there's so many crowdfunding games that have a lot of bad faith in them. Like Mighty Number 9 came out, that was like panned by everyone. Like everyone was like so excited, and then they got it, and it's like, oh, it's trash. This one, like they probably were like expecting it to be like good or like whatever, and then they played it. It's like, well, it's not trash, but it's like,
No, I have to say it's very solid, but like it's just it's solid. Like it's just good enough. But
yeah,
I do agree that if in a sequel, if they make a second one, I would play it because I think they would improve some of the problems. I think what would make this game better is if instead of a level up system, everything was based on equipment, right? So you stay the same power the whole time, but everything is based on equipment because that would give you a reason to like do crafting. If your character stays the same level, because I think that's the whole problem is like I wandered around the castle for like 2 hours because I didn't know what to do, and I was leveled up, so I'm like completely overpowered. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's just like I don't know. It just doesn't feel that fun.
Because
Um,
it's funny you mention that because I felt the same way almost like with the because the gear changes your appearance and has some properties to them, and I was like thinking to myself like they could have done much more with this system. Like they could have just instead of it being like equipment and shards and weapons, they should have just combined these shards into your equipment, and then you could just kind of change your equipment on the fly or whatever. Like I think they could have been something more interesting. Like instead of the level up system, maybe like you level up your equipment, and then each power up, and like okay, now you can cycle through your abilities. Like, and I wonder like because they mentioned like oh, don't have too many shards or whatever. Like, is there? I just wonder like is there actually like a thing in the game where if you have all these shards, it kind of fucks you up, like, or is it just like story like sparkle, like oh man, shards are fucked up, and then it's like you get like all of them, and it's like nothing happens, like
well, I think that's what they're going with like I think that's what's supposed to be happening with Jebel is like he's corrupted by all the shards. So maybe it does have an effect later on in the story if you have a bunch of shards because you can dump them, like you can sell them away.
yeah,
What's her name? Dominique is like, yeah, give me your shards so you don't fucking curse yourself or whatever.
yeah, and so I just wondered like if it's just there just to explain like why you would want to sell shards, because I wonder if like if you could just get all the shards in the game and just do nothing, like is it just gonna be like, well, you're not corrupted because I mean then there'd be no story. It's like like you can just have a bad ending. Just have a bad ending with it. Like, oh, she got corrupted along the way. Dun dun dun. Game over. Like they could have done something. Like that's what Persona does a lot of the times. Like, oh, you did this. Oh, that fucks up your game. Now start over. It's like, oh, okay. Like, well, Persona 5 did that a lot though. Like, and three gave you like an ultimatum. Pretty much. Like, oh, do you want a good end or a bad end? It's like, oh shit. I'll pick the bad ending. All right. Well, no final boss for you. It's like, okay.
So stupid. Let's talk about some of these abilities too. There's like way too many shard abilities, and there's one, and they're all useless. Like the only one I use is the one. It's like the fucking double Rupuken, like Geese Howard.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? I forget what it's called, Gale Cutter or something.
Okay, I think I've used that. Is it like that projectile that like you press like a button and it just kind of like shoots an arrow or whatever like out?
No,
Not an arrow, but like it looks like a wave.
it goes down in an angle and it stays on the ground.
Okay, I think I've used that, and it's all right.
Like a projectile in the King of Fighters game, like a power wave from Terry Bogard. It just goes on the ground. It's the only one I use. Everything else stinks. But then there's a one where you can become that bunny character, which I assume is just some fetish shit.
Yeah, I got that and I tried it and I was like, what is the point? Like, I didn't get it.
For fucking anime waifus. That's the only reason.
Well, I think or it's to compete with this. It's to compete with this. They played Mario too much and they're like, oh, dude, fucking tanuki suits and cat suits, bunny girl.
Well, which Cleo's in the game.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was like, I named my character Cleo, so I was like, oh, this is perfect. She gets to like be her exactly.
Yeah, so I wonder if there's any point to that. And another thing that's making me worry about this game is that I think Symphony of the Night is a masterpiece, and I'm starting to think, what if I don't like that game that much, and I just am romanticizing it from my childhood? Because at this point in the game, so like I said, everything is like just like a model swap. Like it's very repetitive, and like all the environments are starting to look the same. Symphony of the Night, when you get midway through the game, they just flip the castle over.
Well, yeah,
and you have to go through it again.
But it's funny though because you could argue it was like, oh, it's for the time, it's fine because it's like a PS1 game, so it's like okay, like whatever. Compared to this is like more modern, so I don't know, like I kind of feel like a lot of games like they're kind of dated and you kind of feel the era that they're developed in. But with Bloodstained, I just kind of feel like it either is trapped in this we got to make this like Symphony of the Night. Everyone's gonna loves that game. Let's just try to live up to that, and it's like it's kind of the same trap that some AAA studios get trapped in as well, where it's like we gotta just give people what they want, what they know is safe, and something that they get hyped for. And I think for a crowdfunding game, it's like, okay, maybe that makes sense because you want to make sure that you get the funding to make the game, so maybe you want to make it safe for that. But it's just sometimes it's worth to take a risk of just upsetting the status that. Like, okay, you want to please fans of Castlevania with this because Castlevania's been dead for decades, but it's like, well, sometimes trying something new could make it more fresh instead of like, oh, like the Shards was kind of that. There was some new stuff involved, but I didn't go far enough with it.
Yeah, I will say I think what will save it, and I'm gonna replay Symphony of the Night after this. And I think the difference will be going back to something I said earlier. I think just moving around, and you actually alluded to this in the first episode. I think just moving around in Symphony of the Night is more fun. So, like, remember how you're like, oh, his walk cycle is so satisfying and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just more fun just to exist in that world where Mary, like you said this too, like Miriam is kind of clunky to control and she walks kind of slow. Like, it doesn't feel that great.
Yeah, like, and the combat's not even that satisfying. Like, even with this big sword I'm using, I think it's like something with a T, like Trumbledore or whatever the fuck. But even that weapon is just like, all right, oh, okay, and it just kind of it just doesn't feel as like satisfying. Like when I played even Curse of the Moon 2, that felt satisfying using the lance, using the chain, using whatever. But this one's like, okay, like the whip is just lame because it just takes so long for it to hit.
It's the worst weapon in the game. Why would anyone ever use a whip? It just, you go to a screeching halt whenever you swing it.
Yeah, like that.
It's like supposed to be your signature weapon. It stinks.
Yeah, but if you played like the old Castlevania, the whip is like fucking badass. It's like, oh yeah, bam. This one's like, all right. And it's like, oh, okay, the enemy did 10 damage, like 2 attacks in the span of like the beginning of that attack. It's like, okay, like.
Yeah, the whip is useless, and you know what else is ultra useless is guns. Did you try using guns?
I did when I first played this game at the very first time. Hated it then, and I didn't care about them now. It's like maybe there'll be better guns later in the game, so I kept some of the bullets. But I was like, I have no interest in buying guns. Like that's a waste of money.
They're so useless. You only can carry like 70 rounds. Like it goes up as you collect those items, and like of like the special rounds, and they don't even do that much damage. So it's just a waste of your time.
Yeah.
it's like the only things that are worth using are clubs, swords, and sometimes great swords. Everything else is useless. Like the
Yeah.
lances are like strong against certain enemies, but it's like I have no care in like reading these like weakness charts because like the game isn't that hard to begin with. So what's the point? How am I
Yeah.
gonna optimize this stuff? I don't
Like,
care.
like it's kind of funny. I thought there was something more like challenging with the Scarlet boss because I was thinking like, okay, maybe there's some mechanic that like you could stop her from regenerating your health. And I looked up a video of a guy playing this boss, and it's like, all right, well, you see, when she does this attack, you can attack her. Okay, she does that attack, you can attack her. It's like, oh, okay, like this is what stuff I knew. And then when it got to like, oh, when she regenerates her health, just hit her and to like negate the amount. It's like, oh,
Thanks.
like because I also like told me, like I talked to Dominique, and she's like, oh, there's this creature in the castle that like regenerates her health by your cuts or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe like if I get damaged, it's gonna be like makes the boss fight harder. It's like no, it's just she just regenerates herself anyway. It's like okay, then what's the point? Like it's just a lot. I think a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of like dressing in this. Like even when I was playing Persona 4, I made it to that dungeon that video game dungeon, which that dungeon's a piece of shit. I hate that dungeon. I skipped the mini boss, so when I made it to the boss, it was like, oh, the door is locked. You gotta find. I was like, I have to go all the way back. Fuck this. Like I finally did all that stuff, but through that, it's like, oh, Mitsuo does this. Does he run or fight? And I was like, okay, fight. Oh, he does the attack. He leveled up, and I was like sitting there thinking, does this have any effect on the boss? Like, if I kept saying picking run, would it just not? Would it be an easy boss fight? And it's like, and people in my chat was like saying, no, this is all like bullshit. Don't worry about it. It does nothing. And it's like, oh, cool. Like, and that's what I felt like with Bloodstained. A lot of the stuff that they tell you, it's like, okay, this is just. And it's the same kind of issue people had with Hellblade because the game tells you, oh, like the marketing of the game itself tells you like, oh, if you die, your game save is going to be deleted, but that doesn't happen, and it's like, oh, and it's like, and the developer was like, well, you see, Hellblade is meant to fuck with your mind, so it tells you lies innately, and it's like. That's fine for some of the stuff that the game was doing, like because some of it was like, okay, this is a cool lie, but the game save one is just a really dumb lie. It tells you because it's a mechanic that's like, it's like this is like not because there's stuff that it tells you that's innately not true, and it's like okay, that's kind of neat because there's a lot of like illusions in the game that kind of fuck with with what you're seeing, but it's like some of the stuff is like this doesn't really seem to make any like. It tells you why it's happening. This is well, see, since this is happening to the main character, your game save is gonna be deleted. Okay, cool. Like it's attached to a story thing, and then it's like, oh no, the game save will be fine, but she still like gets like fucked up anyway. It's so weird, but Bloodstained just tells you a lot of stuff, and a lot of it just means nothing almost.
Yeah, yeah. So now that we've trashed the game for probably. Why don't we talk about something positive? So I've related to Bloodstained. So something that came up in my Steam, I forget what it's called, the like release queue. They show you games you might be interested in, and I saw the trailer for this game, and the main character he kind of looks like Pyramid Head from Silent Hill.
Oh.
And like in the trailer, Miriam's in the trailer. So there's a crossover between this game and it's called Blasphemous. Have you heard of Blasphemous?
I have that game, yeah.
Dude, it's fucking awesome.
I played it. I played a little bit of it, and it is so hard. It is grueling, but it's fun. I like it.
Dude, it definitely scratches the itch for like a Castlevania type game because the combat is super fun. Like there's a dash,
yeah,
combos, like there's a roll, like all that stuff, and it's like super fun. Kind of like a 2D version of Dark Souls because it's like, and I'm not saying that because it's hard, like Dark Souls.
It's a Dark Souls of everything.
But it really is because there's the campfires where you save and restore. It like restores your health, brings everything back to life.
Yeah.
All the levels. So I only played the demo, but I think I'm gonna grab that game when I have the time to play something. But that was actually a really cool game. Like I really enjoyed, and like that's what I'm saying is like the combat in that is fun. So even if there was like a little bit of tedium, like it's always fun to like move around in that game, which is what I think Bloodstained is missing.
Yeah, and you know that you mentioned that I was like, I was playing Hades for months since it came out, and what I like about that game, like I'm not like I don't like roguelike games as much. Like I don't like the repetition of it, but the combat of that game is insanely satisfying, and I do like that each time that you retry, you do feel the progression of your character. Like you do feel like, okay, this one boss was like so hard. Now it's like, all right, move aside, and it's like satisfying. Like it's like, okay, like you're naturally gonna get better each attempt. And with Bloodstained, it's like there's no. I don't really feel a sense of progression other than, okay, wow, this enemy that I used to take 5 hits to kill it, now it takes 1 hit. Okay, wow. It's like, it's not even like awe-inspiring. It's like, not like, wow, I'm getting really good. It's more just like, oh, okay, like, I don't know, like, I just don't have the same sense as Hades, where it's like, wow, I feel like I'm getting way better at the game. Like, I'm actually playing smarter in Hades. This one, it's like I'm playing the same, and I don't feel like I have to change my method other than like, maybe more defensive. But it's like you do that anyway.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because this goes back to the first episode again too. When you play Symphony of the Night, you start off with all the abilities, and you're like, this guy is badass, and then it gets taken away from you, and you're like, oh, now I'm this crappy character. But you're right. You'll feel the progression of how your abilities get better. In Bloodstained, it's just like you're the same character, except now you can attach the shard that does this ability.
Yeah, and they just yeah, like it just doesn't feel satisfying with these abilities because then you get all these abilities and like as you said, like the ability you get all these abilities that are like trash, but the summons are like. Why would I care for these summons? Like the knight does a lot of good damage. I've been raking him up, so now he has these projectiles that come from the ground, and it's like, oh, this is great. Like I don't have to worry. Like the boss runs into them all the time now, so it's like, okay, I don't need to think about it.
That's what I was gonna say too. I have like that Bloodbringer familiar, the sword that has like weird human grunts.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh, and it's like really creepy.
Yeah.
Ass. He just murders everything. I'm like, okay, go ahead, Bloodbringer.
Oh, maybe I should switch to that because I have like the Holy Knight or whatever. But the Holy Knight's kind of nice because it also defends. It defends you as well.
To everyone, or is that a different one?
Yeah, he kind of does like this, like he like twirls the spear around it to defend. It's like so I do like that. So I mean that's kind of having me keep him. But then I got this one shard for healing, and I was like, oh wow, I can regenerate my health. This is great. And it's such a waste of a shard. It's like, alright, every 5 seconds you'll get +3. It's like, okay. I try ranking it up just to see if it gets any better, and it's like, it barely feels any better. And it's like, I'll just stock up on healing items at this point.
Yeah. I think the point of the game is to be like, oh, look, you can attach all these abilities and make the character your own. But again, it ends up feeling all disjointed and like.
And I don't necessarily.
It's just like you find something and you just stick with it.
Yeah, and I don't want to necessarily say like, oh, it needs skill trees, but I kind of wish that the leveling for shards was more like that. I guess like I just kind of like the shards seem more like this could be an RPG tier thing that they could have just made. They could have done something with that. Even with Persona, like each confidant in 5 and 4, they did this too. Where like, oh, you're at this level, so now this can happen or something. Like they could have done something like that with the shards. Like, okay, the shard, like just make it one shard, one like magic shard that just absorbs abilities. Like even in Indivisible has like this ability. You get these abilities along the way. You don't have to interchange anything. The only thing that you interchange is party members. But like, the more you play the game, they just give you these abilities. Like, oh, you can use a spear to like pogo off of it, so you go through like spikes easier. You could do like a ceiling stab, so you kind of like do a ceiling platforming. So there's all this stuff that challenges you, and in that game, I don't know if I want to necessarily make Indivisible a game club game, because I beat the game already, but the final boss just tests all your abilities you've learned in the game. Like it tests your blocking, your perfect block, your like all this stuff, and it's like this is like testing your skills. Bloodstained just hasn't had anything there that was like, you've learned this, but now apply it to this. It's like the reflector ray. Why would I use that in a boss fight? It's so cumbersome of a mechanic. It's like, oh, all right, I gotta stand still, aim where I want to go, and hope to God the boss doesn't attack me while I'm doing this. It's like,
yeah, that's a really good point. It's like everything can just be beaten with the most basic pattern. It's like jump around and hit the enemy, and that's it. Like nothing changes. Another good example of a game with good progression is Mega Man X. Have you ever played the?
No, I've not played a single Mega Man game.
What?
I never got interested in it. I didn't like the designs of the characters, so I never really cared.
Dude, you have to, if nothing else, just play the original Mega Man X. It's literally one of the best games ever made.
All right, I'll check out Mighty Number 9. I'll check that. That'll be my first experience with the game. I'll do that, and then I'll measure. If Mighty Number 9 does not do anything for me, then Mega Man's doomed.
Don't you fucking play Mighty Number 9.
I saw a picture of like Best Buy having it for like 1 cent, and I was like, and it was the Wii U version on top of that.
Boy. Yeah, dude, play Mega Man X. I'm telling you, it's one of the best games ever made. It's amazing.
What about Mega Man 11? Have you played that one?
Yeah, it's good. I like Mega Man 11. Is that the 3D one that just came out?
Yeah, like it's like the newest one that came out.
Yeah. I think that was a big middle finger to KG. They're like, oh yeah, you want to try to make Mega Man? We'll just do what you were trying to do and better. Go suck balls. It was so fucked up.
It is funny hearing about the drama with Capcom and like, yeah, and Kenji and Fumi. Now that I think about it, I was thinking the Dead Rising guy, but that's him. And it's funny to me that like a lot of the stuff you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like for all we know, like Capcom and Kenji had like a reasonable like walkout. Like, all right, dude, see ya. But I kept hearing like, well, Capcom was like fucking him up. He was like, fuck you. Then he was also like, fuck you. It was like, and I was like, what the fuck happened? I just heard like a lot of weird drama between them. I was like, oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
A lot of the same story of like they're like fixtures at the company, but they get older and then they get less creative control. Like I read the Kickstarter. I mean, not the Kickstarter. I read an article about how this started, and basically it was like, I wanted to make Castlevania games and they won't let me make them, so I left. Cool.
Yeah.
So, like,
well, that's like a straightforward answer. I mean, like it's not like Kojima where you just kind of left and we don't know like what happened there. It's like, oh well, something happened, but what? Who knows? Like
same thing. He wanted to make some crazy shit, and they were like, no, make more Metal Gear Solid games. And he was like,
I remember there was an article back in high school, like 2004 or whatever, and he was like, I want to make a zombie game, and I was like, what? And I kept telling everyone, like, he wants to make a zombie game where like you use the internet and like it's all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, it's not gonna. And I was like sitting there thinking about it. I was like, yeah, that the idea makes kind of no sense. Like, I don't know how it just doesn't make sense like feasibly. Like, how would he get this infrastructure set up to begin with? Like, it's weird. It's gonzo, but
none of his ideas make fucking sense. Still
yeah, yeah, but like, is this one like? I don't know, like, see, I don't believe everyone's like, oh well, Kojima's weirdo Kojima. It's like, yeah, but there's stuff that he makes as like it makes sense on like on a level. Like, it's like, okay, this is like the games like MGS3 makes sense, like in the sense of like of what's it designed around, all this stuff. Like maybe story wise it's kind of whatever, but like there's a rhyme and reason for it. It's not like, oh well, B-Man is B-Man because fuck you. It's like, well, no, see, it has bullshit reasoning, but it's a reason, whatever. But I don't know, like it's. I remember like with Kamiya, like there was stuff with like Devil May Cry, and then there was like he wanted to make more like God Hand Okami. I do love on Twitter he keeps saying like everyone keeps asking about Okami 2. Like if you want about Okami 2, ask Capcom. Blocked. It's like oh okay like.
Did you like Okami?
I played it and I loved it, and then I got lost and I didn't know how to continue, so I put it off. So I was like I'll go back to this later because I had a bad habit of playing these kind of games like late at night, so like I was kind of falling asleep during half the time. So it's like, oh wait, these two guys lost a daughter or whatever the fuck. I need to find it, I guess. Where do I go? I don't know. Well, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed, and I would save and quit and never go back. But I got it again on Switch to play it because I was going on a trip, so I was like, okay, I'll play it there. And then for some reason, I couldn't find. You're supposed to find these dogs. And I had no problem finding them on the PS4, but the Switch, it's like I found half of them, and I can't find the other half. And it's like, I don't know where to go. And then I dropped it again. But, so I do want to look up a guide to get to continue, because I did like the art style of Okami. And I do like the dialogue. I love the, I just love the whole thing with, like, the goddesses. The people there are all dumbasses, like, oh, well, we don't know what the fuck to do. Oh, this god is there. Cool, I guess, whatever. It's like, okay, this is like kind of different from how everyone writes gods and people like, oh, these people are all praying to the gods and they know what the fuck's going on. These are just like simple people doing simple shit. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like the dog is like I just love that there's this bullshit samurai dude and the dog does all the work. Is like, oh, I guess I'm cool. It's like, yeah, okay. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I thought it was too slow. But that was because. Like, I was expecting it. One of my favorite games ever is God Hand.
oh.
So I'm like, fucking God Hand rules. And, like, obviously, Platinum makes kind of games mostly similar to that. So I went into Okami having the expectation that it was going to be, like, super fast-paced. And
Okay.
Game where, like, it's kind of like Zelda-ish.
Yeah, I see what you... I definitely get where you're coming from, because when I played this on the PS2 initially when it first came out, and the beginning bored me to tears because it was like it was going on, and I was like, I don't care anymore. Like, and I was telling everyone everyone rags on Metal Gear for having long cutscenes, but those cutscenes are like what, like realistically they're like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Like it only gets more gonzo in MGS4. I think MGS4 is the longest cutscenes. Like 2 is there's like pacing with it, but like I was telling everyone like Battle Cup is like the beginning just goes on and on. But now like the other things like I think for me I get with Platinum like every game is different, so there's a huge variety with their games. Some of them are more like and similar, but I think that they're the kind of developers that they're more willing to try new things as well. Like, and I think Okami is a testament to that. Like, oh, we're gonna do something completely different, and that's what you get. Like, that's what I love about Suda51 games as well. All of them are like, you don't know what you're gonna expect from the guy. Like he did, like I didn't even know he did visual novels in the beginning of his career. He did that. Fire Pro Wrestling was another game he started out on, and that one was kind of funny to me because. There was a guy working Fire Pro Wrestling. Initially, that wasn't Suda. That guy walked out. He was like, "This game sucks. I'm done with this. Fuck this game." And the guy was like, "Okay, well, Suda, this guy walked out, and you should work on this game. I guess here you work on it." He's like, "Oh, all right, I'll work on it." And that's how that game is what it is. Yeah. And that got him the foot in this door to do all these other games. So I do like that. There's this variety with it, and I kind of think of the Bloodstained. It kind of just goes back to this. You gotta make Castlevania. Like I appreciate the guy wanting to make more Castlevania games, but I just kind of think that maybe if he expanded his repertoire more, it'd be more interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know what? When you were talking about Platinum, I just realized that what's that game called? We saw it at PAX.
Wonderful 101.
Wonderful 101 is kind of like a faster version of Okami.
Yeah, I keep I love that game, but I keep dropping it. Like I made it further now on the PS4 version of it than I did on the Wii U. Like the Wii U, I kind of dropped it. I hated the gamepad shit. Even though it made the combat more like easy. But I don't mind using the right thumbstick to do the formations because I think it's because they made it more forgiving as to what you're doing, and there's always other ways around it. Like you could just kind of mash if you can't get what you need to come out. But I do like the tone of it. It's kind of like a Beautiful Joe game as well. Like
it's like Beautiful Joe mixed with Okami.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it until we just started talking about it right now. I like it a lot. But there's something about it that's like it's hard to play it in long spurts. Like you play it and you have a good time, and then you don't want to play it for a couple days.
I know exactly what you mean. It's the same thing with Astral Chain. Astral Chain isn't a Kamiya Platinum game. It's made from one of the younger people there that worked on. He worked on Anarchy Reigns. He worked on Nier Automata. But this is like his first game he directed. And Astral Chain is like it's.
When did it come out?
It came out 2018. Yeah, 2018.
Is it on computer? Maybe I'll try that one.
It's only on Switch. It was like the one game that they're like that Nintendo was like, guys, we have an exclusive from Platinum Games. It's gonna be so cool. Astral Chain, and it is kind of a cool game, but you have to do all this investigation shit, and the investigation is such tedious bullshit. It's like, all right, eavesdrop on that guy. Okay, go over there. Okay, now talk to this guy. He's gonna ask you questions about the things you heard. It's like, okay, like that stuff was lame. The combat is kind of fun, but it's also kind of dumbed down as well. Like it kind of restricts what you can do a little bit. It's one of those games that's like for a new IP. It's like it's cool. I would like to see more of it. Like I would love a sequel to see if they would push it. The only thing is I like the story to a point. I hated that the main protagonist was a silent protagonist. Like yeah, the main characters are twins. It's like, oh cool. But depending on the character you pick, the other one is silent. The other one talks, you're silent. And it's like, and the game gets so laughable to me. Oh my gosh, shut up. This fucking guy. Do you know anyone from Lakeville, Connecticut?
No.
Exactly. This fucking Lakeville dude is calling me. I don't know anyone from fucking Lakeville. I get these weird ass fucking bots, dude. But
Yeah.
it gets so laughable in Astral Chain where there's all these dramatic scenes because your brother gets experimented on because they have this ability with this other plane of existence or whatever the fuck. So this dude is like, oh, I'm getting fucked up, I'm dying, man, oh shit, whatever, and you're just sitting there deadpan like huh?
Silent protagonists just suck.
Yeah, but like, you know, like unlike Persona, it kind of works. The Persona makes it work decent, like maybe except for 4, I guess. But like, it works fine, like decently. It's like okay, I can look past it because it's a fucking JRPG and everything is done by like anime portraits, so it's like whatever. But like, Astral Chain like has these like cinematic cutscenes, these dramatic angles, music going, and people are talking. It's just like. Nothing. Like I get more out like because like even with Persona 5 like there's dramatic scenes and at least they draw like a reaction from the main character, like he at least like says something like in the Striker in the Dynasty Warriors game for Persona 5, that one like he at least says like, oh what, fuck this, like he says some shit, but it's like whatever. But it's better than fucking what Astral Chain did, where it's like it kind of feels like a novice approach to it, where it's like like your brother is dying in front, like their dad dies at the beginning and they're just like, and it's like oh like and like your brother or sister or whatever is like, oh my god, my dad's oh fuck, and you're just like, you look like an asshole, even though like the most that you might see is like she might like have like sad eyebrows and a sad frown, but it's like,
You're supposed
okay.
to project your own emotions onto the protagonist, but meanwhile they're sitting in the game just like.
But like not. Aspartame doesn't make any attempt to do that because you like. As I said, like with Persona, it kind of gets away with it because you have at least like dialogue options. So at least you have like some window dressing to it. Like you have something that you could kind of get out of. Aspartame has no dialogue options, so you're a mannequin walking around, and everyone's like, "Wow, this person is doing this." It's like, okay, the only thing and the other thing is that like depending on the gender of your character, like there's this fight. You fight your brother or your sister or whatever. If you're the female character, you have this great ass song. It's so cool and badass. But it's a female vocalist, but it's like hell yeah, rockin'. You pick the male character and the song is the same song but sung by a male voice. That sucks. It's off. It's the worst version. So it's like the female was like this dramatic like and then the male was like awful. It's just not doesn't hit the same.
You gotta send me those songs so I can hear what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's and the final boss is bullshit too. It has bullshit camera angles and like it can hit you. You're fighting the boss and the camera angle to it because like it locks you in a box pretty much. Well, this thing is like running around faster than you and you're trying to aim. It's a mess. It's such a piece of shit final boss. It's awful. That's like the only part of the game. The rest of the game is fine, but the final boss can fuck off.
Yeah, maybe I'll skip that one. So speaking of the Wii U gamepad, do you ever watch this YouTuber named Nerl? Nerrel?
No.
He's one of my favorite like video game YouTubers. He's my fucking favorite, and he's really funny, and he does like in-depth reviews of like technology and games. And his latest video is called A Tale of Two Shitties, and it's about the Wii U gamepad and Star Fox Zero.
Oh, talk about low-hanging fruit.
But no.
But
if you watch his video, he goes into detail about like why it was so bad. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
He's my favorite. Like he talks about like he has another video about like gyro aim, and he's so great because even when he talks about stuff that I completely disagree with, I'm like I see his point. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like he's not just like, oh, this sucks because whatever, it sucks. Like I'll be like, I don't think what you're saying is right, but like you have a reason to believe what you're believing, and it makes sense. So he's a brilliant guy. You should definitely watch his stuff.
All right.
I'll send you this video. He's fucking hilarious too.
Have you ever seen Matt McMuscles?
Yeah, I don't really like him. Why?
No, I was gonna say the same. Because like I'm not like a diehard fan of his videos, but I do like the what happened videos a little bit. Like I do like a lot of stuff is like a good like jumping off point to know at least some base information, because a lot of people like have been like accusing him of just reading Wikipedia articles and like, yeah, this is what happened, but like I don't really look that deep in a lot of stuff, so a lot of the stuff that he reports on is news to me. So it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. But I think he might have done one on Star Fox, I think, but he did one on like he did one on right now. He did one on Cyberpunk. Then he did one on like Metal Gear Rising. He did one on Doom. He did all these ones on like ranging from bad games, bad movies to like good games. But a lot of people just assume that, oh, the What Happened series is like a negative series and it shows why a game failed. But it's like, it's more about like what happened during the development of it. Like, because the Doom one was like talking about like how initially Doom was going to be like a Call of Duty game, and it's like, oh, they were going to make it like Call of Duty, and then they changed it to what 2016 Doom was.
Yeah. My thing is I can't watch any person who does that typical like YouTube thing where it's like he'll do that thing where it's like he makes a joke and he just like trails off. He'll be like, "Ooh, what is this?" Blah, blah, and like, or he'll be like, you know what I don't know how to explain. Like that really typical like.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Happening, you'll be like, what? And it's like, okay, like.
Like he just kind of goes off on like like he builds up a joke, like a punchline to it. I don't think it's not as bad as Nostalgia Critic though, at least, but I know what you mean though. Like
I can't do an impression of it, but I could give you examples where I'm just like, okay, this is not like, it's like this certain cadence that everyone does, and it's like, all right, I'm done with you already.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Like I started getting to like a lot of art videos on YouTube. Like I've been watching a lot of them as well, which is and a lot of them are nice. Like I got into this channel like Ethan Becker who does this cool like art tutorial video kind of whatever. But then there are just some that come on my feed that I look at. It's like, all right, YouTubers, welcome to the video, and we're gonna be doing this, and I know you guys see this now. Before you do anything, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and also this video is sponsored by Raycon. It's like, oh, okay, like,
yeah, it's like the same exact cadence. It's like you might as well. It's like it doesn't even matter what they're saying. It's like you might as well be watching the same video over and over.
Yeah,
I think you're gonna like this guy Nerl because he's like completely different.
All right.
He's really funny. Yeah.
Well, I think that's all we have to say about Bloodstained and other stuff. I mean, I guess what I think we should do for these game clubs, since this is still like a new thing, I think maybe what it should just be is just a general discussion of the game we're playing, and then just other stuff as well. So it's a little bit more organic. I think it's more interesting than just talk about one thing as well, because I feel like with games, like you could get to a point and then you're like, okay, well that's it. Like there might not be a lot to say in a particular session, because some sessions are just duds sometimes.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I think Bloodstained we're kind of done with it, and I say we see how we're feeling next week, but I think we just have one more week of this game and move on to the next one, because like I really don't want to beat it. I don't care to keep playing it.
Yeah, like I started the Silver Case, and that is kind of like more interesting to me, because I like, because there's a part of it where it's like, oh, there's the killer's in this area, we have to find this killer, so they kind of load you up in this area. You're just kind of walking, but if you go like off a path, the game will just tell you like, I went off the path once. It's like, where the fuck do you think you're going? If you go off the path, people are gonna die, and you don't want that. Things are gonna fuck up. Your partners are gonna die. It's like, oh shit. Like, and it kind of has this psychological thriller to it as well, where it's like this one guy on your team, like, he starts off calm and collected, like, all right, we're just gonna go get this guy. We gotta stick together. Don't worry, guys. You gotta be careful. As he's going in, it's like, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. I'm gonna kill him. Where is he? I'm gonna fucking kill him. And everyone was like telling him, like, dude, calm down. Where are you? I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. I'm gonna fucking kill him. And then you meet up to him, and he's like, I couldn't fucking kill him. Damn it. It's like, because the dude that you're going after, like, has killed so many people, so, like, the cops hate him, but it's just, it is such a supernatural, it has like an underlying supernatural element to everything, so it's like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? The only thing about this game that drives me up the wall is the sound effects are so fucking loud. So like so it has a typewriter effect. So every time that loads up like dialogue, it's like it's like, oh, okay, like this can't be a little more quieter, like
every character of dialogue.
For like the smaller dialogue that you're reading for the majority of the time, it's like fine. It's not loud at all, but when it's like setting up a set piece or a scene, or if something like very crazy is going on, it's like there's a part where like you meet this woman that's like bleeding or about to die, and she's like, help me, like she says help me like multiple times, and the text goes crazy about it, so this help me like spelled continuously. So it's like, oh shit, like fucked up shit's happening. And then this other guy shows up who's the main bad guy named Kamui, and he says, you will not stop us, you will not stop us. And it's just, it does a lot of weird shit like that, and it kind of shows in the UI. Like it's visually interesting because it kind of like it just shows all this fucked up shit that's going on. Like, I think Suda51's games are way more fucked up, but the other thing is that I didn't notice this, but there's a sound effect in it that is in No More Heroes that is used multiple times. If you unlock a locked... Huh?
It's a new game. Did you say it's a new game or an old game?
It's an old game. They re-released it. It's ancient. I think this came out on like a PC. I think like some old console that no one ever used. These were only in Japan initially. They never, huh?
Was it MSX?
Yeah, it's something like that. I think, but it never made it across seas. It only stayed in Japan because it was a very like low budget game. But they re-released it. Now like it's just now got released globally, but it is such a bizarre game. But there's a sound effect like every door you open, it makes like a the door opening sound effect is the same sound effect that you get in No More Heroes when you beat a mission, or you get like a like there's some sound effect it uses, and it's like the same thing. Like there's this reoccurring stuff that he uses in his games. I think that is just kind of like a reference to all his other stuff.
That's fun.
Yeah, and now I get to understand. Like in Travis Strikes Again, there are characters from this game in that story. So it's
really?
Yeah, like the first story in Travis Strikes Again. Travis runs into the detectives from this game, and they're like, "Oh," he talks to Kamui as well, and he's like talking to Kamui about like these games that he's collecting, and more and more Kamui starts getting more ominous and more like hateful and more like threatening. And at first, when I played it, I thought he was supposed to be like Suda51 because it looked like him almost. But now, like, oh, this is a character from Silver Case. I see. It's like, oh.
That's interesting, because you said this last time, or, I mean, maybe we were talking about some other time, but you said No More Heroes, Travis Strikes Again, right?
Yeah.
You said it references all of his old games.
Yeah.
Did he independently?
Did he what? Did he do anything independently?
Yeah, who published No More Heroes? It was by his own company, no?
It was, the first one was through Ubisoft, because the way that went about was Ubisoft wanted to capitalize on the Wii, and someone told Suda like, hey, Ubisoft can like fund this game because they're wanting a game on the Wii, and look at the Wii remote, it's like, you know, the whole new thing and all this stuff, and he's like, oh, okay, I'll make a game for that, and that's how No More Heroes came to be. Now, No More Heroes is self-published now.
Yeah, so then my question would be, how does he have the rights to all these characters? Did he not, like, he just has the rights to all the characters? Like, like, I know that was by Capcom.
There is, I think there's some, like, workaround, but, there is so they updated the game last year, and I didn't know what this update was, so I booted up the game, and the intro was completely different. Like, before it was like, oh, Badman's going to check on Travis to whatever. They did a new intro where it's all in the same engine as Killer 7, and has, like, the black guy from Killer 7 shows up and talks to Badman. So, like, it kind of ties into Killer 7 a little bit, and it's like, oh shit, like, it's so, yeah, it's so out there, but yeah, I think the only character he doesn't reference, I think, is Lollipop Chainsaw. I think that's the only one he doesn't reference in that game, because he does outright reference Shadows of the Damned, but he doesn't reference Lollipop Chainsaw. Yeah, because he worked with him on that. Like, it was a cooperative development, and that was also a bad development too. They both both of them kind of left that thinking like, yeah, like that kind of soured Suda51's opinion on working with the West. Like, he was like, I'm done working with these big companies. Shadow of the Damned, Lollipop, and Killer is Dead. Those three games were like, yeah, I'm just gonna go back to indie stuff. Because he just kind of got fed up because all those games were all like pressured by the publisher. Be like for Killer is Dead, like he was pressured to add Gigolo mode and all these sexual stuff into it. And he's like, And he even said, like I'm a little concerned that people are gonna think that I'm all about this, and I'm not. Like, this isn't what we're known for.
Which is, it's weird that I would have never expected Gigolo mode to be a Western influence thing, because that it reminds me so much of like,
I don't necessarily know if that's Western actually, because I think because that one he was a publisher. He published that with Xseed,
yeah.
and Xseed, like, they were telling him, like, look, our customers, they love sexual shit. They make like One Chanbara and all this stuff. So they're like, hey, put this in your game. You have to, huh?
Dating sim stuff, basically.
Yeah. So it's like that kind of stuff. So he did that for that, but
Gigolo mode reminds me exactly of the Hostess Club stuff in Yakuza.
Yeah, but that at least, like, that you could avoid, and it doesn't seem as, because that one just kind of seems like it's more goofy and more like just, hey, fuck it, like, because the Yakuza 7 doesn't have that at all. Like, this one is just like, oh, just man to business, go. And it's like, okay, like,
yeah. Which, by the way, I only played Gigolo mode once with Killer is Dead.
I didn't touch it at all. I was like, nah.
This at all, so let's not do it anymore. Because it was like, you don't even need to do it. It's just completely side mission, right?
Yeah, it's the only thing I liked about Killer is Dead a lot was they added a story mode that had to deal with Dracula. It was like, oh shit, like, Dracula's castle's here, go there. And I just loved how silly and like over the top everything was. Like, you find out that it's not like a vampire dude. It's like the person who hired you to go there was the one that was trying to get you there in the first place. It's like, oh, okay. And it's like, yeah. And I just love, like, just how silly that whole mission was.
Yeah, that was a sad one, because that game, like, the world around it was interesting and all the stuff that happens this ring, but the gameplay was just mediocre.
Yeah, it's very light. Like, there's nothing, like, satisfying. Like, and everyone said, like, No More Heroes is a very simple game, but I still think it's still satisfying. Like, it's the simplicity is the point. Like, it's supposed to be this simple. And
yeah.
When I played it on the Switch, since they re-released it, I never noticed. Once the master dies in the game after the rank 2 boss fight, you go to the gym to train. He's still there as a ghost. So it's like, so you go there. He's like, oh, I may be dead, but you still need to train. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like a Jedi Force ghost or something.
Yeah, like, he makes a little. It's not as deep, but there is some, like, jokes about him being a ghost in the dialogue that they added. It's like, oh, okay, this is kind of funny. I love a lot of the stuff in No More Heroes 1. Like, it's still, and you can definitely tell, like, so initially when I played No More Heroes 2 on the Wii, there was like a big gap between 1 and 2. So I played 2 and I was like, oh wow, this is like, I still was disappointed with the ending. I did not like the final boss, and the story was whatever. But it's like, oh, it's still pretty good. I played 2 right after 1 once they released both of them on the Switch. And it made 2 so bad to me. It made it worse. Because I went into it like, well, we haven't had No More Heroes in a long time. And sure, Suda51 was working on it, but at least it's like, you know, still a fun game. And 2, it's like the enemies just tank so many hits, and it's like, all right, mash. All, when can I slice them open? It's like it's like they took all of this stuff from 1 and made it worse. And the other criticism that 1 had was like, oh, the side missions kind of suck. And it's like, yeah, but like that's kind of the point. Like the point is like it's supposed to be a grind to do the assassinations. Like the assassination missions are meant to be a reward for the grind. And it plays into the theme. 2, it's like, okay, well now you just kind of tank through the game and just beat it, and it's like, oh okay, like,
kind of like how I feel about Bloodstained.
Yeah, actually, it is exactly like that. Like now, like as soon as I was talking about 2, it's like, yeah, you take the enemies become more like bullet sponges. It's not, and even like Persona 4, when you're talking about like bumping it to hard, it's like, yeah, they're just gonna make it longer. The only thing is, and the bosses in 2 are so uninteresting. It's like, all right, this one's a pyromaniac. Okay, like some of them have cool ideas. Like there's one that's like a sniper that you fight, and it doesn't tell you the backstory off the bat. Like, there's no cutscene telling you what's up with her, but her song has all her backstory in the song. So if you listen to the lyrics, it's like it describes what's going on with her. It's like, oh, that's cool. And the song fucking rules. Her design rules. I love that fight. But it's just like, it's all wrapped around this boring ass like final boss. Like the boss before it was also cool, where it's like, yeah, Travis, you were the hero. You were like you got out of the assassination games, and now you came back. You know, we all wanted to be you, and now you're back, and I'm gonna fucking kill you, and all this stuff. It's like, oh, this is interesting. And then you kill her, and it's like, all right, now fight this fucking CEO dude that's a piece of shit, that's awful and not fun. It's like, oh okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely play Travis Strikes Again.
Yeah, that was. Oh, I love that game.
Played No More Heroes the first. I mean, I've played it, but I've never beaten the first one. So maybe I should pick that up.
Ooh, yeah, that one is great. I love that. I love that game. Like the final boss, not the secret final, but the rank 1 boss fight. It's like there's a segment at the time when they came out. She was like, oh, like Travis was like, what the fuck? What's going on with you? It's like, I would tell you what's going on, but it will only bump the game rating higher, and you don't want this game to be delayed again. It'll be No More Heroes Forever, which is now a dated joke, but it's like, at the time I was like, okay, so then Trev's like, okay, fine then, I'll speed up the dialogue. So they literally like speed up the audio. So at the time I was thinking, oh, this is gibberish. She's probably saying like bullshit, and they're just speeding it up. So on YouTube, someone slowed it down, and it's actually her backstory.
That's hilarious.
So it's like, oh wow, that's really cool. Like that like they actually legit like had a story written for her, and then they actually sped it up. So it's like, okay, that's a nice attention to detail.
Yeah, you know what's this made me? I don't know why I thought of this when you were talking about that, but you ever played the Bionic Commando, like the new game?
No. I heard bad things about the new one. It's like,
it's not good. It's like it's just a mediocre cover shooter. Like, you remember when every game was like Gears of War?
Oh, yeah.
It's like that. But there's a boss. There's a boss in the game, and I don't remember which boss it is, but you fight it, right? And if you lose, he goes, so like there's a guy, you know how there's that trope of there's a guy that's always on your radio. So this guy on your radio is like, you got to kill that monster. You know what to do. And like, he's like, I'm on it. Like, that's what the typical dialogue is. But if you die, and like the second or third time after you retry, he goes, you know what to do. And then the main character goes, you want me to fuck it? And I'm like, and I heard that, I was like, I thought I was going nuts. Because I was like, I have to hear, like, there's no way that just happened. And it wouldn't happen again. And I had to look it up on YouTube later to be like, to make sure it actually happened.
That's pretty. Oh, that's nice. That reminds me of all these games that fuck you over. Like if you die in Devil May Cry 3 like enough times, it'll just say easy mode unlocked. It's like, oh, okay. Like there's a game I can't remember it, but like if you play on easy, it locks stuff out of the game. It's like, okay, you're playing on easy. This is like not the intended purpose, so you're just not gonna see this other stuff that would be great otherwise. I can't think of it though.
I mean, that's a lot of games are like that. Like,
yeah.
Like in God Hand, for instance. Have you ever played God Hand?
No, I wanted to. At first, I thought it was like a bad game because like I think when I was hearing about it, it was during the era where I was like listening to every fucking reviewer under the sun. And I was like, oh wow, this reviewer said this game's a 9 out of 10. I'm gonna go check it out. And then like over time, it's like, yeah, these reviewers are fucking bullshit. I'm gonna just see what's on my radar and go with that. And after that, I was like, I need to check out God Hand because the second I heard, oh yeah, the people who did like Platinum, they worked on that game. I was like, okay, I definitely need to check this game out. The second I heard that people who did like Bayonetta and all this stuff worked on this, like, I need to check it out. I need to give this game a chance. If they worked on these games I like, I need to give that game a shot.
I gave that game a 3.
Yeah, and everyone like ragged on it. And I was like, yeah, I can totally see why, because like I didn't necessarily listen to a lot of IGN because they do a lot of fucking bad reviews. But But that's why I think, like, a lot of people dog on remasters and re-releases, but it kind of gives you another chance for some games. Like Wonderful 101, I wouldn't have thought twice about it because it's like, yeah, I played on Wii U, didn't really care, whatever. And then when they re-released it, it's like, you know what? Well, I had a Wii U, so I owned it, and I didn't care about it. But it's like, they're re-releasing. It's like, yeah, you know what? I should give that game another chance. So
Wii U is useless. The only game that made sense on the Wii U was Super Mario Maker.
Yeah.
Like you gotta watch this. I'll send you this video after we're done. You have to watch the Nerl video where he talks about how shitty the Wii U is, and it's brilliant. But what was I about to say? But okay, in God Hand, the game has an adaptive difficulty. So the better you play, the harder the game gets, right?
Oh, that's cool.
So like the more you dodge and the more you hit enemies without taking damage, you level up. And there's 4 levels, right? But if you play on easy mode, you only get 2 levels. So it's like you can't really play the game to the fullest if you're on easy.
Oh, that's awesome.
You have to get used to it because it has really fucked up controls.
Yeah.
Basically like tank controls, and the camera is glued behind your back, so you have to get used to it. But
okay,
it's absolutely one of my favorite games ever. Like,
well, I think like I feel like a lot of their games, like, because it kind of carries over to like Mad World, had a lot of like wonkiness to the gameplay as well, and that one I liked. I really want another Mad World because I love the setup of that game where it's all in black and white. The story was told like panels. You had like announcers, and I just love like there's one boss fight, and the announcer like, yeah, Jack is gonna suck ass. He can't beat this guy. This guy's really cool. Look at him. And then it's like, then he beams like, well, I guess that guy sucks. So it's like, okay. Like, I just love like those little things.
You know what game I enjoyed, and I wish I could have played it when like there was an online mode? I really liked Anarchy Reigns. Yeah,
I had that on my 360 for the longest time because of the online. I played the online like with my friend all the time. It's very broken, but it's very fun.
Yeah, like I know it's kind of a janky game, but like it's like something about it is fun to play.
Yeah,
I didn't play it like 2 years ago because I was just like, let's just see what this shit is about. Because I never got to play it when it came out. And I was like, this is fun. Like, this would have been fun to play online.
It's funny you say that because, so when that game was semi-alive, the developers were celebrating the anniversary for that game. It's like, oh, we're going to celebrate, so we're going to play online with you guys. And everyone was, like, dying for them to patch it to fix a lot of the broken shit, and they wouldn't. So they did that whole event. Everyone teamed up against the developers and did all the broken shit to show them, look how fucked up this game is. You made this game. Look how fucked up it is. And then after that, it's like, yeah, that was fun, guys. And that was it. It was like, oh, man.
The game was dead.
Yeah. Because it had a lot of exploitable shit in it, because you could do all this, like, cheap shit with, like, the environmentals. You can, like, just do infinite combos on enemies. It's like, what's the point? And I think like Bayonetta was the most broken character in the game, I think, as well, because you could just throw them up infinitely with her hair demons. It's like, oh shit. But I liked it. It was a fun game. Even like the campaign, as dumb as it was still kind of fun. Like I liked the cheesy story. That was
because I played it when it was long dead.
Yeah.
I just played it to see what it was like. And I was like, damn, this is actually fun.
Yeah, like the online, like you do cage matches with another person. It could be a one-on-one. It could be like a group attack. You could do like a horde mode. It's like, oh man, this is like, there's a lot of stuff here.
I would be very interested to play like the arena mode where it's just like a bunch of people unleashed on a map.
Yeah, well, it was kind of fun, but it is also just not fun at the like once you do it, it's like you like the idea of it's like, oh wow, this is good. It would be really cool. And then you play and it's like, oh, this is not fun. It's just because half the time you're chasing other players around. You could die from the environmentals like half the time, and that would count as a death. So the other team could just win off of that. It's like,
all right. So it's just in theory, it's fun. So
yeah.
it's not like,
I think the one-on-one stuff is fun. The one-on-one stuff and the horde mode is the only part of that game I really liked.
fair enough.
All
So what do
right.
you think? Should we call it?
I think we should call it. It's like 1 hour and 30 minutes. So it's like the first part of the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Like we just got that. We got 3 more hours of this actually.
Isn't it 5 hours?
4 hours, and I don't think it earned to be 4 hours.
Are you bothering to watch it?
I watched it already. I didn't sit through it. I was watching in parts. So I would watch like a part a day. Today was the only day I just finished it. I was like the last 2 hours of the movie. It's like I'll just sit through it and watch the rest.
Watching at all?
I got it. I'll put it this way. I'll give it to DC. They found a way to get people happy about a bad movie, because like.
Oh wait, that didn't answer my question. That's a no.
It was and it wasn't, because like there was stuff I did genuinely like, but it's just the stuff I liked was stuff that I liked on like I liked Steppenwolf's design kind of, even though he looked like a sad puppy. Every scene you see him, he looks like he's gonna cry. He's talking to Darkseid, and Darkseid's like, "You fucking failed me, Steppenwolf. You're a fucking failure. You're not coming back here until you prove yourself." He's like, "Okay, Darkseid, I'm gonna get the anti-life equation for you." And it's like, this guy is the villain. Like, he looks like he's gonna like, and then he's talking to like Wonder Woman's like, "You're a piece of shit. I killed your whole island." And it's like, okay, like this looks so not scary. Like the horns look cool, the armor he's in looks cool, but the face he just looks so pathetic. It's like, I don't care for this guy.
The movie sucks.
It's not good. It's better than the original, because the original was just ass, but this is just like less ass. It's like, oh, okay. It's like if I were to rate it, I'd probably give it like the original. I'd give it like a 4 out of 10, maybe a 2. This one I'd probably give it like a 6 or a 5. Like it's not like miserable, but it's just like, because I didn't feel like a waste of time. It just felt like, I don't think it needed to be 4 hours. There was stuff there that was interesting. Like I did kind of like Ben Affleck as Batman. He was kind of good, but it's just it still has a lot of the issues that I have with the DC movies lately. It's like trying to capture the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. It's like, no, just move on from that. That's its own thing.
Yeah, I'm never gonna slog through a 3-hour Zack Snyder film. So
yeah, I mean, I can sit through long movies. I've seen Martin Scorsese movies are long movies, but I can sit through those. This one, it's like I sat through it and I was like, I don't think it earned to be this long. Like, and part of me is questioning this fucking logic. So this is supposed to be the cut that we were supposed to get if Snyder was able to direct the movie. So I'm sitting there thinking, was Warner Brothers really gonna put a 4-hour movie in theaters? Exactly. And it's like, so this is not the real movie if you think about it. It's just all of the scenes that were not going to be cut were in it. It's like, what about the cut that he was going to put on screen? I want to see that cut. And then, like, this is a movie that would be like a bonus. Like, okay, you have the original standalone theatrical release that Snyder made, and then you have like the director's cut. That's what this was supposed to be, I bet. But it's like, the Snyder Cut got so garbaged into this thing. It's like, so I don't know how I feel about it in that context. Like, it's better. It is better in the sense that like there's emotional weight to scenes that are better. Like in this one, Cyborg's dad dies, so it's like, oh shit, like this is actually like emotional. In the first movie, he doesn't. He survives. Because in this one, like he sacrifices himself to try to destroy the mother box or whatever the fuck, and then
Or maybe that's just like the normal, like that's the normal backstory. Because I thought that happens in the movie.
No. The son like almost dies. The mom dies. The dad doesn't. But this one, because in the comics, the dad doesn't die at all. Like, even in the animated movies, like Cyborg's dad is still around doing shit. But this one's like, okay, we need like a character that sacrifices himself for the greater good. And I think it serves Cyborg's character to be more like accepting of who he is. So like it has good like dramatic moments like that, but I gotta say this as well. The fucking slow motion is so ridiculous. There were moments where I sat there and was like, is this a joke? Like, is this like there's stuff in it that's like this slow motion is so stupid, like there's no reason for it. Like the beginning of it, it's like, all right, I get why this is in slow motion. Then it continues and it's like we're slow motioning this scene, like it's a guy just falling. Like, okay, like the hit, sure. This one is just okay, this guy's falling.
Alright, this movie sounds like ass.
Yeah. The music is good though. I did like the music.
Oh, whatever. Okay, I'll leave us with one last thing. Did you ever watch the show Young Justice?
I did and I didn't like it. I love
from the beginning?
Yeah, because look, I've watched Teen Titans, I've watched Justice League Unlimited. And Justice League Unlimited is way better because this is what pissed me off about Young Justice. They kept promising bullshit and never following through. It's like, alright, Batgirl's here. Oh, look at her. Look at all these characters. Look how cool they are. Okay, we'll never see them again. They're going to be up to the sidelines. Like, I wanted to see this, but then like huh?
You gotta understand, there's like 67 characters in that show.
Yeah, but like, Justice League Unlimited had all these characters, and they didn't use all of them, but they used enough to be interesting. It's like, oh, they used like Stargirl. I didn't know who that is. Like, they have like Black Panther, dude. I don't remember his name either. Like, it's interesting. They have these gonzo characters, but
How much did you watch of Young Justice?
I made it all the way to like I'm watching season 3 right now, and season 3 is all right. It's better, but it's slightly better. I didn't really like it. I still don't like it because there's a lot of issues I have with Young Justice that hang me up on it. I don't like the art style. It's all monolithic and lame. Like, I love the Bruce Timm shit because it's more like stylized and it's like a comic book and it's like, oh, cool, like shit.
You think the Young Justice designs are monolithic when every fucking guy just looks like a V?
Yeah, but it's a style though. It's like it's a stylized thing, and it only got better because they made it more stylized after that. Teen Titans is also very stylized. I just think with animation they could have just experimented more, because even with Bruce Timm's stuff, he did this other Justice League movie called Justice League I can't remember it. Dark. I think it's Justice League Dark, I think. It's the one where like Batman's a vampire, Superman is the son of Zod. Like, it's all these different like origin stories for the main cast, and it's like really cool. It's a different like take on them. But it's just Young Justice. Young Justice isn't bad. It's just that some of their faces, like Superboy looks like an idiot. Like, he just looks like a pinhead. Like,
he's a dumb jock.
Yeah, but it's like, you don't have to. It's just even Batman looks like that too. Like, when there's like a movie with that art style and they show Bruce Wayne, it's like this guy looks like a fucking idiot, and he's like, I'm the world's greatest detective, and I look like a fucking idiot. It's like, oh, okay, but it's just, I also just don't. I don't know, like, the stories is very boring. I hate the light. The name of the light is so bland. It's like, it's called the light because they're enlightened to dark side, and they're enlightened to this other truth. Wow, so it's like, I'm either go corny all the way and just call themselves like the Secret Society or the Legion of Doom, do that, then go boring ass fucking, oh, we're the light, guys. And it's like,
Dude, I love that show. Season 1 and Season 2, I think Season 2 is perfection. and I thought season 3 was just terrible.
I think the only thing with season 2 I did not like is I don't like shows like when you know your show might get canceled. Like you know okay, season 1 it's like Cartoon Network didn't like it. Like they're like it's not getting ratings. We'll give you another season, but this is probably gonna be it. It's like yeah, so it's like all right, so we're gonna end on a cliffhanger. It's like the show's canceled and you decide to end on a cliffhanger. It's like fuck you.
The best cliffhanger ever.
Yeah, but it's not even an interesting cliffhanger. It's like all right, Darkseid's here. Well, I love Darkseid. I would have loved to see more of him. Nah, fuck you. You're never gonna see it. All right, we got season 3, and I don't even think they'll get a season 4. So
that's gonna get a season 4. They already committed to that, I think.
Well, yeah, but it first was a DC on that DC streaming service that fucking bombed, and no one subbed to it, and now it's like, well, now we're gonna be on HBO Max. So I don't even know if HBO Max is gonna commit to it, because HBO Max you just easily say, nah, fuck that, no, we're gonna do our own thing.
Either way, I didn't like season 3.
Well, you know what? I will take that back, actually, when I said it was better. Now that I think about it, because I did drop it for the longest period of time. I started watching it because it was there, and then I was like, I don't care for this. Fuck this. And I moved on.
Black Beetle was a cool villain. He calls everyone meat. He's the fucking best.
I do like some of the new heroes they introduced, like the what's her name? The Arrow lady. I can't remember her name.
About Artemis?
Yeah, she was cool, but
she's in the first season.
Yeah, she was cool. I liked her. I do not like Martian Manhunter lady either. She's just kind of boring. Like, oh, I'm just a girl version of John Jones. What's up? It's like okay.
Depressed in the second season.
But I think the other thing I just kind of get bored with Young Justice is it's a lot of it is just okay. This character now he's a kid. It's like okay, wow, Batman. Oh, now he's Nightwing. It's like we've seen this.
I don't really agree with that because they definitely. I think the whole point of the show is them finding their own way past what their like mentor is.
Yeah, but they could have done that and made them like different characters enough. It's just they're still the same archetype. It's like okay, this one's green. So Nightwing is different from Batman. He uses the same equipment though.
Yeah. Batman is an ass, and like Nightwing.
Nightwing still does assy things though. People are like, "Oh, Nightwing, you're a piece of shit." I don't want to be a leader. I guess I'm a leader. Oh man, I hate it. Oh, I want to be by myself. I'm better by myself.
That's the whole point. Is that Batman is a fucking control freak asshole who kidnaps children to be his sidekick, and the whole point is that Nightwing rebels from that. Like he's like. People want me to be the leader, but I'm fucking not, and I'm not gonna do this thing where like contingencies. Like Batman has that thing where he's like, I know how to kill everyone in the Justice League, and Nightwing's like, calm down, dude. Like,
but you know what? Batman makes a point. I mean, how many times does Superman become evil?
Not that many.
Well,
they always right away.
I mean, he's gonna be evil in the next Justice League movie. He's evil in Justice League. He's evil in Superman. Even in the animated series, they made Superman evil.
Yeah, because they just can't think of anything else.
Exactly.
Whatever. All your shitting on Young Justice just makes me want to watch it again. So I'll just go ahead and do that.
Maybe I should rewatch it to get a better opinion of it. It's just I got bored of it. I just sat there and was like, I just knew the twist. Like, okay, this character, like they made Speedy like this mind control dude, and I was like, yeah, he's a spy. Dude, he's a spy. Whoa. Oh shit! Yeah, but he's like mind like, huh?
You're telling me you saw it coming?
Yeah.
He was a clone from the beginning.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck
yeah,
up.
because like they kept like having this ominous like because they kept like foreboding. It's like, oh, we got an inside dude in there. Oh shit! Then like Speedy's like this angry dude. He goes off his own. He does his like stuff that they don't agree with. It's just shit that I saw coming. I was like waiting for the twist to happen. Then the twist happened. I was like, oh, there we go.
You knew there was gonna be a cryogenically frozen Speedy.
Yeah, like
You're such a liar.
I knew to a degree. Okay, no, maybe not a clone, but I knew he was either like brainwashed or some twist where it's like he's being manipulated by the bad guy, and there was a level of manipulation, and I was right on that.
But there's no fucking way you knew they cut his arm off and froze him to clone him. Like,
I'm not saying it was predictable 100%. I'm just saying like the gist of the twist, because they needed because a lot of the bad guys had all this information, and it's like, oh right, one of the people on the team is a spy, and it's like, well, it can't be this because of this episode. Okay, well then, and by the time like they were alluding to Speedy, it's like it's Speedy, and it's like, and it took episodes and episodes for the team to notice. It's like, okay, move on. Like I get it, and it's just. I don't know, like it's the same kind of stuff I get fed up with in what was the show? There was another show that tried to do the same shit, and it's like I'm a mile ahead of the character. Okay, have you ever seen Avatar or Korra?
Yeah.
I
don't really watch it, but I know I've seen a few episodes.
So like in season 2 of Korra, there was like this twist coming a mile away. It's like, yeah, this dude's a bad guy. He's doing like fucked up shit. He's like. All this stuff.
This is where I'm gonna stop you, because you're saying all this stuff about how like you're like, oh, I saw it coming. I'm already sick of this. How the fuck did you get past the first part of Persona 4? Because it goes on for 3 hours, and it's just like, okay, idiots, go into the TV and kill this guy. Right.
Well, because okay, look, I played Persona 5, and I get that a lot of this is tutorial shit. Okay. So
that's not my point, though. It's like there is 2.5, maybe 3 hours of shit that's just like, I already knew this for 3 hours. It's not like it's like one episode where it's like, oh, okay, let's get on with this episode. Like the entire season of Young Justice episodes is probably 5 hours.
But
the first 4 hours,
yeah, but it's a video game. They have to walk you through the fucking mechanics. They have to teach you, like, you can't just go through the TV world and then do other stuff as well. Like, they have to teach you, like, look, you're gonna get fucked up in the TV land. You gotta like adjust.
It's not about mechanics. It's about all the fucking. Oh, we need to look at the Midnight Channel. It's like, why can't I just play the game already? Like nothing happens. It's just a bunch of fucking story bullshit that is ridiculously stupid.
It's to develop the story. Like, yeah, they have to know why they have to go in the TV world. They have to know, like, who is the target? What is the target?
In 15 minutes.
But it's a blurry image.
You're just an anime. You're just an anime fucking.
Well, no, I agree that Persona does the same bullshit. It's just I'm more willing to put up with it because I do want to get to the game. So a lot of it's like, okay, whatever. But it's just, but like, I can at least, like, press X, and I can just, like, mash it. I can just, like, okay, go through.
But you listen to all the shitty
because I get to relax and drink water during it. And I get to, like, just chill, dude.
Yeah, fuck that. You just love anime.
Well, okay, but I will say this, like, Persona 5, I put up with it, but I have just kind of sped through some stuff. Like Persona 5 Strikers kind of the same shit, so it's like, all right, mash X, because like someone's like, all right, we have to do this, okay, and it's like, okay, there we go. Like I only listen to stuff that's like story related. Like I don't skip through the stuff if it's like voice acted, because that's like, okay, there might be something story wise that is worth listening to, but if it's like something that's like not spoken. I just go off of what I feel like but it's whatever. It's Persona. It's all bullshit.
And the voice acting is so bad.
Well,
why that anime voice acting is always so bad? Like the English voice acting.
I maybe the era like Persona 4 it is. It's just because I would argue that dubbing has gotten better over time. Because I've been there with like Tenchi Muyo in the 90s where it's like they made it like a cartoon. But I think a lot of it is they can't afford good voice directing and good voice actors, so they just kind of get what they get. And I think a lot of it is translation and the directing, because I think with like Persona 4, they probably couldn't afford to get like any good voice direction. Persona 5 has good voice actors. Like the English voice actress for Makoto does so much work, and I love her acting. She's the main character of Cyberpunk. She's like the best character in that game.
I'll be fair and I'll listen to that, but like, anime voice acting is so bad. Usually. You
should watch Kill la Kill dubbed, and it'll be the best experience. Because that actually, because okay, you know what? I watched Elfen Lied subbed and dubbed. There's an episode where, like, in the dub, it's like really emotional and awesome. It's like, oh, I fought through armies to get to you. All these people are fucking assholes, whatever. Like, it's all emotional. In the sub, it's like, oh, I was just really hungry and I missed you. And I was like, this is stupid. The sub sucks. And the dub is like, oh shit, it's fucking awesome. Like, she went through bullshit for this. Damn.
Don't anime fans say if you listen to the dub, you're just a bum?
Well, you know what? Those people are elitists, and they probably like love the smell of their own farts. I'm on the side of experience anime the way you want, because I'm sure sub is better than dub. I go off of, like, for Ava, for example. I watched the Netflix dub, and when I talk to people who listen to it subbed or the original dub, it's like I got the same core meaning out of it. So it's not like oh my god. There was a show I watched that had a different meaning with the dub and the sub, and it's like, oh, this is like not watchable at all or comparable.
Like, is it like Lupin the Third, where they add like current day references to a cartoon from the 70s?
Yeah.
I love Lupin the Third, the dub.
I never really watched Lupin the Third because I thought the art style was just bad. I didn't really get into it, but I did get interested in it because I watched the Miyazaki directed movie of it, the Miyazaki one of it, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of like interesting. I kind of want to see the rest of the show, and I've seen like images of it, and it's like, you know what? I could probably have a better appreciation for it than I did years ago. There was stuff that I watched back then that I hated, and I watched now, and it's like, oh, this is actually like really good. I like it way more. Like Ava, I probably wouldn't have given it a second glance, but then when I watched it again, it's like, oh, I actually like the aesthetic of the art style. Like, I love, like, there's an episode where like they go through all this like computer mumbo jumbo, and it's like the best episode. It's like, oh shit, like you get like some character development on the scientist's mom person, and it's like, oh shit, like there's shit going on back there that's fucked up, and it's interesting. Like I like there's one where it's like this character gets so jealous of this daughter of this little girl that she almost kills her. It's like, oh fuck you, call me old hag. You think you're only here because of my boss, and my boss thinks I'm an old hag? Oh fuck you. It's like, oh shit, like it's all fucked up. It's all about mental health, and no one gets good treatment, dude, in that show.
So I say we leave this at if you watch subbed anime, that means you smell your own farts.
Yeah, you know, we got to release the Snyder Cut of this podcast at some point. I mean, we're already at 2 hours. 2 hours to go, Charles.
Oh my god! All right, definitely cut it off.
All right.
This in their life.
All right. I'm gonna end on an infinite cut. I'm gonna put OBS in front of your window. And there we go. Well, this is wild. The YouTube audience got some wild here. All right, it's like an infinite window. It's like infinite.
What do you mean? It's like, oh, it's like it's doing like a mirror thing.
Yeah, like it's like a tunnel. Anyways, that is it for this episode of Big Bun Game Club. We talked a lot about a lot of shit. We learned a lot. Or not a lot. Who knows? That is it.
Theo is an anime stan.
I'm a stan of art. But we don't talk about the other side of anime. But we don't need to get into that. That is it. Goodbye.